7 shocking life-changing truths from Ecclesiastes that will haunt you forever. It was a stormy night, the kind that rattles windows and makes your heart race. The kind that whispers secrets to the unwary. In the dim light of a flickering candle, Jake stumbled upon an old, tattered book, Ecclesiastes. The moment he opened it, his world flipped upside down. Each page felt alive, pulsing with a strange energy, words leaping off, stitching together tales of life, death, and haunting truths. Some said this ancient text held knowledge that could change everything, wisdom that was meant to be buried. But for Jake, it was a lure, an invitation to an eerie discovery that would cling to him like shadows on a moonless night. As he turned the yellowed pages, a chill crept up his spine. The first truth struck him like lightning. Life is a vapor, it read. Just a fleeting breath in the grand scheme of things. He felt a weight on his chest, squeezing tighter with every word. What does it mean to vanish like smoke? The customer's voices faded, replaced by an unsettling whisper, echoing in his mind. Was he truly living, or was he just another fleeting shadow? Each truth unraveled something darker. The second hit home, the dead know nothing. That slap of reality knocked the air from his lungs. He recalled countless faces, those gone too soon, their laughter replaced by haunting silences. Were they truly gone? Or did they linger, watching, judging, waiting? Heart racing, Jake glared at the reflection in the window, half expecting to see their specters staring back, disapproving. The third truth was a gut punch, deep and unrelenting: all is vanity. He had spent years chasing after success, jobs, money, approval. Suddenly, it felt like sand slipping through his fingers. Was it all just a game? The crowd outside began to bustle, each bustle faded into the background, leaving him lost in the maelstrom of his thoughts. Were he and his ambitions just another blip in the universe's vastness? The candle flickered, casting an ominous glow that danced across the room like the ghosts of his ambitions. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. His heart hammered, racing faster than the storm outside. With every turned page, the truths surrounded him like a dense fog, thick and confusing. Time and chance happened to them all. Dead inside, he felt the reality of randomness settling like ice in his veins. There were no guarantees, no escape. As he teetered on the brink, about to plunge deeper into the abyss of ancient knowledge, a loud crash echoed from the street. With adrenaline coursing through him, Jake's attention snapped back to the chaos outside. Was someone in trouble? His heart thundered, and he felt that familiar lump in his throat. Whatever truths lay ahead, he sensed they were only the beginning. What awaited him outside that door? The chaos or clarity? The questions hung palpably in the air, thickening the suspense. He took a breath, but did he have the courage to step into the unknown? Jake's mind raced as the thunder cracked overhead, drowning out the whispers of the book still clutched in his hands. The storm outside raged, but it was the chaos beyond his door that pulled him out of the stillness. He hesitated. What could be waiting for him? Danger? Opportunity? Or perhaps something far worse? Heart pounding, he glanced back at the flickering candle. What are you waiting for? He mumbled to himself, every instinct screaming at him to stay put. But that crash, the sound of shattering glass, demanded his attention. The vibrant energy from Ecclesiastes still clung to his thoughts, mingling with an unexpected surge of dread. It was now or never. With a shaky breath, he pushed the door open. The storm whipped at him with icy fingers, and rain fell in sheets, drenching everything in its path. On the street, chaos unfolded like a horrific play. A car lay overturned, its metal frame crumpled like a soda can, steam billowing from the engine. People scrambled, some yelling, others frozen, shock painting their faces. Amidst them, a figure lay motionless, crumpled and still. Jake's stomach twisted. Instinct pulled him forward, pushing through the throng, each step heavy with uncertainty. The haunting phrases from the book danced in his mind like a twisted melody. Life is a vapor. Did it mean nothing? Was this the randomness that governed their lives? As he approached the wreck, he saw it was a woman, her hair soaked and tangled, face obscured. Panic clawed at him, the memories of his own fears flashing through his mind, those he had lost and the ones he could still save. He knelt beside her, shaking off the memories like raindrops. "Help!" he shouted, but his voice was lost in the chaos. An older man broke through the crowd, rushing to Jake's side. "Call for an ambulance!" he barked, working to assess the woman's injuries. His hands trembled slightly, revealing his hidden fear beneath a mask of urgency. Jake pulled out his phone, heart racing. Every second felt like an eternity, a chant of seconds passed ringing in his ears. In that moment, the man leaned close, lowering his voice just for Jake. "You have to keep her awake. Talk to her." Jake swallowed hard, panic tightening his chest. "What do I say?" "Anything. Just talk." The man insisted, pressing his fingers against her neck to check for a pulse. Eyes wide, Jake glimpsed a fragile life hanging by threads. "Hey! Can you hear me?" he asked, desperation lacing his tone. The woman stirred slightly but didn't open her eyes. "You're going to be okay. Help is coming." But as he spoke, he felt an odd shift in the air. A glance over his shoulder revealed the crowd had grown silent, their attention turned toward him. It was as if they were waiting for something to happen, silent witnesses to a moment teetering on the edge of fate. Fear clawed at Jake again, it weighed heavier than the storm above. Time felt suspended as he clung to the hope that their whispers would shatter the stillness surrounding them. Just then, the rain intensified, a deafening noise that drowned out all thought. He felt that familiar unease, those truths echoing again in his mind. What was he supposed to learn from this? Suddenly, the woman's eyes fluttered open, but instead of life, all Jake saw was darkness, a shadow deeper than the storm itself. Her lips parted, and he leaned closer, bracing for her words. But what she whispered next sent chills spiraling down his spine. "It's too late." Jake's breath caught in his throat. What did she mean? Before he could ask, the air grew heavy, an unnatural stillness settling around him. The kind of stillness that stirs panic and promises revelations. Was the storm outside merely a reflection of the chaos within? Or was it a harbinger of something much more sinister? With the weight of unchecked truths pressing down on him, Jake's world spun further into uncertainty. Was he a part of something larger? Something more dangerous? As fear spread through the crowd, he faced a choice: flee from the truth or confront it head-on. The storm continued to rage, and Jake felt the shadows creep closer. Just as he mustered the courage to ask, the woman's eyes locked onto his, and then she whispered again, her voice barely audible against the thunder. "Find the answers before they find you." What did that mean? A question burned in Jake's gut. Could he face whatever haunted the pages of Ecclesiastes, or was it too late for him to? This was a choice he could not ignore, a challenge he may not survive. He looked back at the raging storm, knowing the answers awaited him somewhere beyond the chaos. But were they worth the risk? Jake's heartbeat thundered in his ears as the woman's words echoed through his mind. "Find the answers before they find you." He looked around at the stunned faces in the crowd, their expressions a canvas of fear and confusion. The storm's fury mirrored the tempest brewing within him. Each moment stretched into infinity, leaving him grappling with the weight of their shared silence. "Jake! Hey, can you hear me?" The voice pulled him from his daze. It was the older man, now visibly shaken, trying to get Jake's attention. "We need to keep her awake. Please." Right. Jake stammered, forcing himself to focus. He looked back at the woman, willing her to respond. "What's your name?" he asked, placing a hand gently on her shoulder, desperate to connect. Her eyelids fluttered. I can't," she gasped, the words trembling on her lips. "Jake." Recognition flickered across her hazel gaze before darkness clouded over again. His breath caught. How did she know his name? Panic twisted in his gut. "Stay with me. Why can't you?" he cried, feeling the ground beneath him shift. The crowd began to murmur, whispers rising and falling like waves. He could sense the unease as more people turned their attention to him, eyes wide with curiosity, their excitement tinged with apprehension. It was then he caught a glimpse of a shadow moving amongst them, rippling through the darkness, something unseen yet undeniably present. What was happening? He felt a heaviness in the air, the storm unleashing wild gusts that tangled his thoughts. "Somebody call 911. Jake shouted again, but the urgency in his voice felt swallowed by the tempest around him. Suddenly, the woman's eyes shot open wide, a jolt of clarity igniting panic in those watching. "The book!" she gasped. "The answers are in the words, find the truth, before they come. You must." Her words were cut short as a distant rumble deepened, and the storm's ferocity grew. Jake flinched at the sound. It was like thunder but worse, an ominous growl that made everyone shiver collectively. He glanced at the older man beside him, whose face drained of color. The tension in the air tightened up, suffocating. "Please," Jake started to plead, "stay with us. Help us coming." But the woman's eyes rolled back as her body convulsed, and fear hardened to horror as the crowd surged forward, desperate for answers. Jake felt the grip of disbelief choke him. What was happening? In that moment, the rain cascaded heavier, obscuring his vision as a sudden breeze kicked up. Then, from the corner of his eye, he noticed a figure at the edge of the crowd. A tall, dark silhouette stood motionless, an observer amidst the chaos, yet somehow oddly connected to it all. It was impossible to discern features in the storm's fading light, but the figure's stillness felt unnatural, like a predator waiting patiently. "Jake!" The older man bellowed again, snapping him from his trance. "Focus. I'm trying." Jake yelled back. But his gaze fixed on that figure, an unspeakable feeling creeping over him. Why was it just standing there? What was it watching for? Suddenly, the crowd erupted into chaos, screams piercing through the storm's roar as people began to scatter. Jake's heart raced. "What's happening?" he shouted, eyes darting. The fear was palpable, thickening like fog. "What do we do?" the man asked, echoing Jake's dread but also urging him forward. "Get her out of here," Jake shouted. As he grabbed the woman's arm, the figure stepped closer, revealing a face, sharp features and dark eyes that gleamed with strange intensity. It took every ounce of Jake's courage not to turn away, but something tied him there. A curiosity mixed with terror. "Do you want to see the truth?" the figure asked, voice smooth as silk yet laced with danger. Jake's body froze, the weight of her whispered warning wrapping around him, squeezing tighter. He felt the urge to flee, but the storm was not the only thing raging tonight. Something was awakening, and Jake could feel it creeping closer, slithering through the panic around him as if he had somehow ignited a dormant force. The choice throbbed in his chest: turn away from the figure and the chaos, or dive into the darkness. But before he could decide, that voice echoed around him again. "The answers are waiting for you." He was about to respond when the clouds above crackled violently, as if anticipating his answer. The storm grew louder, drowning out reason, drowning out everything. But the figure's eyes never left him. What truth lay beneath that gaze? Jake didn't realize it yet, but he was just moments away from a revelation that would change everything. And it was a truth he might not be ready to face. Would he uncover the answers that haunted him or unleash a reckoning he couldn't escape? As he stumbled forward, uncertainty gripped him. There was no turning back now. The chaos around Jake spiraled. Screams sliced through the howling wind like shards of glass. He turned back to the woman, her form steadying against the tumult, as if the storm recognized her presence. "Please, stay with us," he implored, gripping her shoulder tighter, desperation ramping up within him. The shadowy figure stepped closer, the intensity of its gaze unbreaking. "You must decide, Jake. What are you willing to sacrifice for the truth?" His breath hitched. Memories flickered in and out like the lightning above the abandoned book on his dresser, the words that had sparked a curiosity he couldn't shake. What had that woman meant? The crowd began to push in, curiosity mingling with fear, eyes darting between Jake and the woman. A young girl nearby clutched her mother, wide-eyed and trembling. "Mommy, what's happening?" Jake felt the weight of their collective gaze, a pressure building like a storm cloud ready to burst. The realization hit him, he wasn't just holding one person's life in his hands. Whatever was unfolding here had the power to ripple outward, affecting more than just this moment. "Everyone, back up!" Jake shouted, voice strained, battling to break through the chaos. But the crowd surged, swept up in the fervor of the unknown, hungry for answers. The figure leaned closer, its face obscured by shadows. "You know what to do. The key lies within the pages you possess." The woman's voice echoed again in his mind, desperate yet determined. "Before they come." A flicker of understanding surged, igniting a flame of purpose amidst the storm. He had to uncover that book. It was his only lifeline in this madness. "If I get the book, I can help her," he thought, desperation morphing into resolve. "Help is coming." Jake shouted over the din, though he knew the truth it felt like hollow words amidst a collapsing world. He stepped back momentarily, vision piercing through the crowd. That figure still loomed, an impenetrable statue at the threshold of discovery and destruction. "What the hell are you?" he mouthed, frustration bubbling up as he felt swept along by forces beyond his control. The woman gasped for air, her expression shifting. "Find the words," a whisper cut through the air, the urgency stoking a fire deep inside him. Suddenly there was movement from the crowd's edge, a glimmer of light reflecting off something metallic. Jake's heart raced. Had someone else seen it? "Get her back!" He shouted once more, urgency clawing at him as he pressed deeper into the tumult, pushing back against the rising tide of panic. As he made his way through, breaths came sharp and quick, and adrenaline pumped in his veins. He had to reach the place where he'd hidden that book, to grasp whatever knowledge it contained before darkness swallowed everything whole. A dark laugh echoed from behind him, slicing through the chaos. "Are you sure you want to discover the truth, Jake? Loss has its price." Sweat beaded on his forehead as he felt reality contorting, the weight of hesitation pressing against his chest. What if the price was too high? Would he condemn the woman? Would he doom them all? He turned his gaze back to her, eyes pleading. "I'm going to find it. Just hold on." But just as he began to break free from the mass of bodies, the ground trembled beneath him. A crack echoed like thunder, and the figure's laughter shot through him, frigid and jagged. "Your fate is already intertwined with the storm, Jake. You can't escape what you are." The truth in its voice sent chills racing up his spine. What were they, and what awaited him in that dark, familiar space where his book lay? With a final glance toward the storm meeting the land, Jake surged forward. He was in too deep to turn back, each step resonating with the thunder's growing crescendo. What awaited him at the book's dark recesses? Would he face a revelation that shattered his very understanding of reality? Or would the darkness consume him whole? As the weight of his decision settled heavier than ever, he pushed forward knowing he was on the edge of something truly monumental. The crowd surged, a wave of confused bodies, pushing Jake deeper into the storm's grip. Lightning cracked overhead, illuminating faces twisted with fear and anticipation, mirroring the turmoil churning inside him. The woman's desperate need echoed in his ears, propelling him forward as he maneuvered between frightened faces and palpable dread. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown. The darkness loomed, and the shadows whispered secrets that webbed through the air around him. Jake stumbled, nearly losing his footing as the ground vibrated beneath him. Panic seized his throat, he had to keep moving. "Get the book, Jake." It was a voice inside him, stark and urgent. "Time is running out." He pushed through the churning mass, fingers reaching out to grasp familiar landmarks, reminding himself of the path to his old home. But the storm was alive, clawing at his resolve. Wind whipped around him, shrieking with the voices of the restless crowd, a symphony of chaos. Close to breaking free, he hesitated, glancing back. The woman was still there, eyes glowing with an otherworldly light against the backdrop of raging darkness. "Before they come," she cried out, voice laced with urgency, cutting through the storm like a knife. "They." Who were they? His chest tightened. The uncertainty gnawed at him. Was he racing against time, or against a monster he couldn't see? He knew the book had the truth, and the truth was lethal. Would pursuing it save her, save them, or would it mean unleashing something they couldn't control? Gritting his teeth, he surged ahead, propelled by the pulse of a desperate hope. He could almost see the edges of his childhood home now, shadows clinging to the corners like dark memories. A sudden tremor shook the ground again, but this time it sprang from above. He looked up, eyes wide as a massive shadow fell over the crowd. The dark figure materialized, towering over everyone, an intangible terror bent on revealing whatever truths lurked within Jake's heart. "You're not ready, Jake." It boomed, voice echoing above the chaos, cracking like thunder. Jake stumbled backward, dread pooling in his stomach. "I'm not afraid of the truth." The words blurted out, louder than even he expected, but as they escaped his lips, doubt flooded in. Was that really true? He forced himself to keep moving, gripping the edges of his memories like lifelines. He reached the front of the house, fumbling with the key under the welcome mat, his hands shaking. The metal felt cold and alive, sending a shiver up his spine. What lay within those pages? The door creaked open, barely welcome as it revealed the darkness of a room long silent. He stepped inside, the air thick with dust and choices forgotten. A beam of light streaked through the window just as he spotted a familiar silhouette on his old desk. The book lay there, waiting like a slumbering beast. Outside, the storm howled fiercely, rattling the windows. He heard the crowd's murmurs rising to a fever pitch and the ghostly laughter of the figure trailing behind. But as Jake turned to reach for the book, a revelation hit him like a cold wave. "The price for the truth," he whispered, feeling the weight of something immense ready to unfold. Would it cost him his sanity, his safety, or worse, the life of the woman outside? The storm roared louder, drowning out his questions, drowning out the world. He reached for the book, fingers trembling over the bindings, and closed his eyes. In that moment, clarity struck. The words could change everything. Before he could think twice, he grabbed the book and slammed it shut against his chest. A surge of energy pulsed through him, raw and electrifying. "Did you think you could run from your fate?" The figure's voice slithered back into his mind, a taunt that twisted his gut. Jake's heart raced, an alarm bell ringing with urgency. What had he just awoken? The ground quaked, and the storm raged outside like a beast unleashed. In that split second, he understood, the truth would find him, whether he was ready or not. Jake turned, his breath caught in his throat, as he heard footsteps advance beyond the door. Were they coming for him? Questions churned. Should he hide? Fight? Or face whatever awaited him directly? Steeling himself, he opened the door again, ready to confront the dark figures creeping out from the shadows of the storm, and what he found on the other side would change everything, or break him completely. As Jake swung the door wide, the chaos outside faded into an eerie silence, as if the storm took a collective breath. There, framed by the light from the house, shadowy figures emerged from the swirling tempest like wraiths from a nightmare. Each face was a mask of dread, eyes wide, searching, demanding answers from a man who felt more lost than them. "Jake!" A voice cut through the tension like glass breaking. It was the woman, her luminous gaze penetrating the darkness. "You have to choose. They want what you hold." "What do you mean? Who are they?" His voice trembled, the book still clutched against his chest like a child's blanket in a storm. Before she could respond, the figures stepped closer, their forms shifting, twisting in and out of reality, blurring the line between human and something far more sinister. The air thickened with a palpable dread, sense of sweat and fear mingling like a bad omen. "They are the ones who search for the truth," she hissed, urgency lacing her words. "And the truth is not what you think it is." Just then, a figure at the back raised a hand, a crackle of energy erupting from it, spilling sparks that lit up the gathered assembly. Jake, heart pounding, took a step back, instinct telling him danger was closer than ever. "Stop! You don't know what you're doing," he shouted, unaware if it was himself or them he was trying to warn. "They'll take everything," her voice intensified, a haunting melody resonating through the storm. "You must protect it." But protect what? The truth? Or the chaos that came with it? As fear licked at the edges of his sanity, Jake gripped the book tighter. Memories of its pages flicked through his mind like a film reel. Parables twisted with warnings, phrases of forsaking and fate, all echoed in his ears. He needed to uncover its secrets. He needed answers. The dark figure from before loomed still, its shape undulating like smoke in a breeze, whispering haunting riddles that made his skin crawl. "You wish to stand against us? You will pay the price." The ground beneath him shook again, the force knocking him off balance, but he steadied himself against the doorway. "I want to let you take it. I want to let you take her." Those words echoed hollowly, swallowed by the thunderous storm. With a shaky breath, Jake finally took a step out into the maelstrom, facing the mass of swirling shadows and flickering lights that surrounded him. He felt the distance close in, the figures melding together into a formidable wall, every shape and sound tightening around him, closing in as if gravity itself was shifting. "The truth is a burden that will break you, Jake," one figure shouted, their voice a terrifying blend of mockery and warning. It dawned on Jake that he stood at a precipice not just of fate, but of himself. He was a key in a game that seemed to be much larger than he could comprehend. "Why me? What makes me so special?" he shouted, feeling the weight of their eyes on him, an invisible sieve through which the truth could slip. "Because you're the one who awakened it." A voice growled, the towering figure gesturing towards the book still held close. The world seemed to tilt, his heart racing as realizations collided with fear. Jake felt like he was being thrust into the depths of the unknown, an endless cycle of reckoning spiraling from the storm. But even as doubts gnawed at him, resolve ignited in his core. He couldn't let go, not now. Not when lives depended on it. As he gazed into the crowd, determination flared. "I might have awakened it, but I won't bow to it." Just as he shouted those words, the storm cracked loud above, lightning splitting the sky, and the shadows surged forward, a terrifying tide that threatened to drown everything: his hope, his memories, his very existence. In that moment, Jake knew he was on the verge of a reckoning. But what he didn't realize was what lay within that book. And as he turned to face the storm, ready to confront the rising tide, his grip faltered. The wind howled, and the truth, whatever it held, surged to the surface. What was Jake about to unleash? Thunder crashed overhead with a ferocity that split the air like a knife, the ground trembling beneath Jake's feet. As the dark figures surged forward, an intoxicating mix of fear and resolve coursed through him. He tightened his fingers around the book, its spine digging into his palm, a small anchor amid the storm's chaos. "Stand your ground!" the woman shouted, urgency lacing her voice again. The power within, but before she could finish, energy erupted from the shadows, illuminating the dimness with unnatural brilliance. A jagged flash flickered across the stormy sky, gleaming off the terrified faces surrounding him. Every figure looked hungry, desperate, like they had been waiting for this moment for ages. The lightning illuminated the taller figure once more, casting a sinister shadow that lurked behind like a predator. "We don't want your life, Jake. We want your destiny." It roared, each word echoing through the night, reverberating in Jake's chest like the blast of a cannon. Jake steeled himself, panic bubbling just beneath the surface. Destiny? What did it mean? Was it shaped by choices, or had things already been decided? He clenched his teeth, forcing back the doubt that gnawed at his core. An eerie silence fell, and then a chorus of deep laughter mocked him. You don't even know the truth you hold. Yet you cling to it like a drowning man. The shadows shifted, closer and closer, serpentine movements wrapping around him, an embrace that felt suffocating yet thrilling. I will find out. Jake shouted, his voice stronger than he ever expected. It rang against the storm's growl, filling him with a flicker of courage. I will know why I awakened this. The figures paused, their faces reflecting surprise. A new energy pulsed through their ranks. That, Jake, the tall figure sneered, is what makes you a threat. With a sudden rush, the ground beneath him shimmered, and Jake felt a dizzying sensation, as if the world around him began to bend and warp. A bright light spilled from the book, illuminating the night with vibrant hues, a chaotic burst of colors that dazzled his senses. No. Stop. He yelled, raising the book like a shield, trying to push back against the energy that threatened to consume him. But it was too late. The light surged forward, enveloping the dark figures in a radiance that pushed them back. The woman stood resolute, her figure glowing softly in contrast to the chaotic energy radiating from the book. Jake, trust it. It may guide you. He felt a rush, something warm and ancient washing over him. The words scribbled in the book began to resonate within him, forming echoes of forgotten truths and dark secrets. His breath caught in his throat, a tidal wave of knowledge crashing over him. Each beat of his heart synced with the pulsing light, revealing flashes of images, memories, and a flicker of a destiny he never wanted. Make the choice, Jake. The woman urged, the intensity of her gaze urging him forward. With sweat pooling at his brow, he exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of each decision pressing on his shoulders. Could he really harness this power? Would it break him or set him free? The shadows recoiled, but a low growl escaped the tall figure's mouth, their ferocity unfurling in desperate anger. He can't. You won't allow it. Time stretched, every moment elongated in that electric space between chaos and revelation. The storm overhead roared ominously as lightning scattered, and he took an instinctive step forward, feeling the power surge around him. Let it go, Jake. The woman echoed, her voice piercing through the storm, igniting a flame of hope in his chest. Doubt wrestled with determination, but in that heartbeat of a moment, the darkness clashed against the growing light, and Jake prepared to face the truth, whatever it meant. But as the energy surged and bound him to the echoes of fated destinies, a piercing scream cut through the night. It wasn't his voice. It was someone else, someone he knew. No. What had he unleashed? What would it cost? Only time would reveal the price of the truth. The ground beneath Jake's feet began to quiver as if sensing the turmoil brewing above. His heart raced. The scream still echoed in his mind. Someone close. Someone who depended on him. Panic clawed at his insides, threatening to rend him apart. He turned to the woman, but her face was a mix of fear and determination. What did I awaken? He shouted, voice strained against the howling wind. Whose voice was that? She stepped closer, her aura pulsating like a beacon. It's connected to you, Jake. The culmination of choices. It's the energy you've unleashed. And no. He stammered as flashes of a familiar face swam through his mind. It can't be. The figures in the shadows closed in, their ominous laughter chilling him to the bone. The tall figure loomed the largest, its eyes burning with malignant intent. You still don't understand. The truth you hold will either destroy you or set you free, it taunted, its voice dripping with malice. And those you love will pay the price. What are you talking about? Jake shot back, anger igniting his resolve. I won't let them suffer because of me. Suddenly, the glowing words from the book blurred. They flickered like a faulty light bulb, and a sense of urgency permeated the air. The storm above crackled with a new energy, the wind shrieking like a wounded animal. He could sense the book's power wailing, begging him to make a choice and to harness the knowledge it promised. Trust the light. The woman urged again, stepping closer, her eyes reflecting an unshakable faith. But doubt gripped Jake fiercely, folding around his heart like a vice. Could he trust this power? With the shadows tightening their grip, he felt the surge of energy push against him, and it was intoxicating. He could feel the world shifting, realities bending. Flashes of visions darted across his consciousness, terrifying futures, moments of triumph, and most hauntingly, the faces of those he loved plagued by fear. Choose. Or they will lose you forever. The tall figure snarled, lunging toward him, its presence exuding a suffocating evil. For the first time, Jake realized the truth: his destiny wasn't just his own. It spun a web that linked to everyone around him, friends, family, all entwined in a fate that could be altered. The scream rang out again. "Jake, please!" It was his sister's voice, laced with desperation. Rage ignited in him, a powerful flame fueled by a gut-wrenching love. "I won't let anyone suffer." His voice thundered above the chaos. He focused on the light, every ounce of fear transforming into determination. He believed he had to believe that he could wield this power. "Trust it. You're the key." The woman's voice wrapped around him, urging him to rise above the shadows. In that moment of clarity, he hurled the book open wide, letting the light explode outward, creating a barrier between him and the advancing darkness. The energy swirled into a vortex, spiraling away from him, forming a protective wall. Everything trembled. Everything shook, the shadows shrieked in fury, some recoiling while others surged against the light, ramming against it with brute force. Jake's heart pounded in his chest. He could feel the strain as the energy fought to hold back the encroaching nightmare. "Help us, Jake!" The cries emerged from the shadows, distorted yet desperate. Each voice pierced through his defenses, tugging at his heartstrings. "What do I have to lose?" he murmured to himself, his breath quickening as he readied for the climax of this confrontation. But before he could lean into that realization, the ground beneath him began to crumble, and a new threat emerged, a chasm opening wide where hope and despair collided, threatening to swallow him whole. Jake's eyes darted as he realized he wasn't just fighting shadows, he was battling choices yet to be made. "Will you face it, Jake?" The woman pressed, her voice trembling yet resolute. As he looked into the depths of the abyss, a chilling thought pierced his mind: if he stepped forward, would he emerge victorious or lose everything he held dear? He took a hesitant step toward the edge, knowing deep down that the answer lay shrouded in the darkness. Would he plunge into the unknown, or fight to keep the light alive? The storm roared defiantly overhead, and Jake's choice hung in the balance, ready to shatter everything what awaited him beyond that threshold. The very air crackled with energy, thick and suffocating. The chasm widened beneath Jake, its dark abyss whispering promises of fear and despair, begging him to jump in. Each heartbeat resonated with a frantic urgency as he felt the darkness pulsate below, almost alive, waiting for him to falter. "Jake!" The woman's voice broke through the maelstrom, a lifeline amidst chaos. "You are stronger than this. Don't let fear consume you." He wanted to believe her. He wanted to reach for that light, to wrap himself in its warmth and push back against the looming shadows. But every instinct screamed to pull back, to retreat from the dizzying void that seemed to stretch into eternity. The tall figure, now seething with a rage that crackled in the charged air, seemed to sense his hesitation. "Does the truth frighten you? You still cling to the light, but it will betray you." It spat, venom dripping from each word. "It is your own choices that will bring about your downfall." Jake ground his teeth, pushing against the fear, against the voice that threatened to drag him into the unknown. "No. I won't let you win." It was a primal roar, echoing across the landscape, challenging the shadows that surrounded him. As he lunged forward, a surge of power shot through him. It felt as if the very ground underfoot had responded to his call, vibrating with a newfound energy. He reached his hands toward the glowing light emanating from the book, feeling its brilliance meld with the desperation inside him. The swirling colors felt alive, filling him with courage. "Is that all you have?" The tall figure bellowed, dark laughter rippling through the air. Face the truth, Jake. You think this power can save you? How can you fight what you have created? The shadows twisted, contorted in the wind, rising to challenge him. Each face that flickered within them, friends, family, was a reflection of his fears, their voices rising in a cacophony of despair. Jake! You can't do this alone. Change it. Don't leave us. Every cry weighed him down, tightening around his throat. Choking on doubt, he yelled back, I will not abandon you. The words settled like a mantle on his shoulders, igniting something deep within that he could feel the light expanding, pulsating, wrapping around him. In that moment, everything shifted, the shadows recoiling, their whispers fading into terrified howls. The energy surged higher, illuminating the dark skies, turning fear into defiance. Now, Jake! The woman cried, her voice slicing through the chaos like a knife. Make your choice. With one last glance at the abyss, he knew he couldn't look away any longer. He took a leap, not into the chasm, but toward the light, the book spreading open wide, cascading beams of brilliance. The shadows shrieked in agony, a thunderous roar that drowned out everything. Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped him, and he was suspended in a moment that felt timeless. In that instant, visions flooded his mind, dreams of clarity, visions of loved ones safe, laughing, free from the shadow's grip. Each heartbeat echoed with the truth he feared to confront. He was not just a pawn in this battle, he was its master if he dared to embrace the light. But even as the darkness began to retreat, jagged edges still clawed at the fringes of his mind, his choices, his failures, the vastness of the unknown still looming, what lingered in the void. If he chose this path, what would he have to sacrifice to keep the light alive? The storm raged on above him, yet he felt a strange calm wrapping around him like an embrace. As he inhaled deeply, there was a promise in the air, a surge of hope layered with uncertainty. Jake, the woman whispered, her voice barely a thread above the storm's howl. It's just the beginning. Are you ready for what comes next? The ground shook once more, and reality shifted. The darkness screeched, hurtling toward him again, but now his heart beat with resolve. Would he fight for what mattered and uncover the truth buried beneath layers of shadows? The answer was murky, tangled in unresolved fear. But one thing was certain, the real battle was just beginning. As the cavernous shadows pressed in around him, Jake stood firm, heart pounding like a war drum. The thrumming storm enveloped him, echoing his growing resolve. The bright light from the book pulsed, a beacon amidst the encroaching darkness, radiating hope and truth like a lighthouse guiding a lost ship home. The dark figure stepped forward, sneering, eyes glaring with unbridled rage. You will regret choosing the light, Jake. It will consume you. The air was thick with tension, every heartbeat an invitation to chaos, but Jake wasn't afraid anymore. What you call regret, I call freedom. He shouted, every ounce of conviction spilling forth. He envisioned his family, his friends, the very essence of why he was fighting. They depended on him now more than ever, their hopes linked to his choices. The stakes had never felt clearer. He clutched the book tighter as the shadows coiled around him like serpents, desperate to pull him into their black embrace. Let go! He roared, unleashing a burst of energy. The power surged, cascading in brilliant waves, illuminating the night. Each letter from the book shimmered with potential, merging with his own will until he felt invincible. Sparks flew from the pages, igniting the dark, sending it retreating one reluctant inch at a time. The anguished cries of the figures echoed, their forms flickering as if tethered to the very essence of his fears. You can't hold it back forever. The tall figure snarled, but the shadows were growing weaker, unraveling with each wave of brilliance. You misunderstand, Jake replied, somehow finding strength in the storm's chaos. I'm not the one holding it back. I'm the one unleashing it. The words reverberated through him. The truth within the book wasn't a curse, it was a calling. With determination electrifying his spirit, he pressed forward, every bit of doubt waging war within him. He thought of her, his sister's voice lingering, bolstering his courage. You don't get to decide my fate. He yelled as the shadows twisted in a desperate attempt to reform. the light expanded further, a blistering halo that pushed against the dark, illuminating the faces within the frightened, the lost, and those who had hoped for more. "I am fighting for you," he let out, the words echoing like a rallying cry, infusing the light with purpose. The shadows howled louder, thrashing against the radiant barrier. Their shape danced and contorted, trying to find a way back to him, but Jake resisted. "The truth isn't a weapon, it's a tool," he declared, realizing the might he held, the power to change everything. Then, piercing through the cacophony, a glimmer of clarity washed over him. The words from Ecclesiastes bubbled to the surface of his mind, the very essence that spurred him to act. "Life is a vapor," he shouted. "I will make my choices count." The darkness shivered, roiling in frustration. "You're fooling yourself, Jake. Power without wisdom will destroy you," it hissed, its voice a chilling reminder of the stakes. Jake straightened, determination flaring in his chest. "Wisdom comes from facing the truth, from understanding my choices." The shadows warped as if trying to snuff out his resolve, but he pressed on, charging toward the very heart of the storm. That he opened the book wide, heart racing, and unleashed the text's power into the night. Brilliant light erupted, flooding the scene with brilliance. The scattered shadows entwined, twisting against the glow, desperately seeking refuge from the radiant truth that spilled forth. "Release your hold," Jake thundered, fighting through panic as the darkness hissed in retreat. "You'll never own me." The words reverberated around him, each syllable fortifying his resolve. In that instant, something shifted. The light enveloped the gathering darkness, intertwining, illuminating the depths of the abyss. The shadows twitched, flickered, and began to unravel, revealing the faces of those he loved, their eyes bright with hope. With a mighty surge, he felt a collective breath, their clarity fueling him, merging with his own power. Memories flooded in, triumph mingling with the fierce determination to protect. "This is our truth," he shouted, directing renewed energy into the book. And as the darkness writhed, the light surged higher, swallowing it whole. Cries of terror echoed as the shadows vanished into nothingness, leaving Jake standing amidst an ethereal glow. The storm ceased, a stunned silence hovering above as he dropped to his knees, face wet with rain and realization. The light faded, leaving only the book resting in his shaking hands, heavy yet liberating. He had faced his truth, unraveled the chaos that clung to him, and emerged scarred but unbroken. The woman stepped closer, her smile shattering the remaining tension. "You did it, Jake. You faced the truth, and for that, you reshaped your own fate." He blinked, awash in emotion. "But what now? What happens next?" "In time, you'll learn," she said softly, knowledge dancing in her eyes. "Each choice ripples through eternity. You hold the power to change lives and to heal." Jake nodded, ideas and possibilities mixing wildly in his mind. The battle wasn't over, but with this newfound strength and wisdom, he could face whatever dared to emerge next. He could change the future, not just for himself, but for everyone entwined in this peculiar journey. As the clouds rolled back, revealing a shimmering crescent moon, he exhaled, feeling the weight of the world shift. It was a beginning, a tapestry of uncharted possibilities opened before him, glittering with hope and potential. "Don't look back," the woman said, her voice confident and unwavering. "Everything that awaits you is just beyond the horizon." In that moment, as dawn broke across the horizon, Jake knew he was ready. The truth had guided him, and now, hand in hand with destiny, he would step boldly into the light. As the first rays of sunlight hit his face, he realized he wasn't just alive, he was free. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on life-altering journeys that await you. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now, it's crucial for the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who could use a story like this. You understand the importance of supporting the channel. Let us keep the momentum going together.